Hey, this is Joseph Lebrec, and I'm going to be demonstrating today how to update the AIR SDK version used within Adobe Flash Builder 4.7. So here I've got a fresh install of Flash Builder 4.7 on my machine, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new AIR project. So I'll create this as a simple ActionScript project, and I'm going to choose Desktop runs in AIR. We'll just call this test and finish. It's going to go and build out that project for us. So if we want to see what version is actually being used, we can open up our application descriptor file here, and we can see that this is set to use AIR SDK 3.4. And at the time of this recording, we're at AIR SDK 3.8 as the release version with 3.9 in beta. So how do we actually go ahead and turn this into a project where we can use the release, which is SDK 3.8? Of course, if I change it to that, and then I try to run this project, Flash Builder is going to get angry at me. So invalid application descriptor, unknown namespace 3.8. So what do we do about this? Well, what we'll do is actually close out Flash Builder. And then we'll need to go to the Adobe website and download the current release version of the AIR SDK. You can see the address up here. If you just Google download Adobe AIR SDK, you'll be able to come to this page. Now, we're going to have to make sure to grab the Adobe AIR SDK and compiler, because with Flash Player 4.7, when we do this particular method, we need the compiler with it. So this is the ActionScript Compiler 2.0 or ASC2. So you're going to download this for your platform. I've already done that. And you'll get a zip file with the AIR SDK in there. You'll want to go to your Flash Builder 4.7 install. So that's usually under Program Files, Adobe, Flash Builder 4.7. And we can see here that we've got a number of different folders. Now, the old way of doing this in 4.6 and earlier, and you can actually still do this somewhat with 4.7, but it's not the method we're going over today, is you can actually add the SDKs in here alongside Flex. So for instance, here's the Flex SDK 4.6, and that'll have our AIR SDK actually in here. But we're not going to be dealing with this particular method because we want to use the new ActionScript compiler too. So to do that, we have to go into the Eclipse folder, and then from there to Plugins. And from there, we have to find the package com.adobe.flash.compiler. When we go in here, we'll see an AIR SDK folder and a meta.inf folder. Going into the AIR SDK folder, you should see something very similar to what we just downloaded. So at this point, we can take everything within Flash Builder in that folder, and we can just delete it. And then we'll simply copy everything from our zip file that we just downloaded into that folder. Now this can take some time, so I'm going to pause the recording here and resume in a moment. Okay, so now we see that it's copied over all that stuff, so we can just close out of both these folders that we have open here. And then we'll have to reopen Flash Builder 4.7 because we closed it in order to update the SDK and compiler. Alright, so here we can see the project that we created before. And again, we've already changed this to go to 3.8. However, now when we run, we can see that the project actually compiles just fine for Adobe AIR SDK 3.8. And that's the most direct way to update the compiler and SDK for the latest version of AIR. A good thing about this as well is this will also work for Flash Player. So if you create a project that's targeting Flash Player instead of AIR, it'll actually target Flash Player 11.8 in this case.